What's going on, you guys? Matt Thibeau here with Savant Marketing Agency, and in this video we're going to pull back the curtain and show you some of the more advanced targeting strategies that we're using on Facebook ads. If you're a contractor and you're trying to target your ideal prospects, this video is going to be extremely helpful for you because we're going to go beyond just broad targeting and show you how to create something called a lookalike audience so that you can target people specifically who are like you've already worked with. My ads manager, Matt Favreau, is going to walk you through from start to finish how to set up a lookalike audience, and I'm really excited. So let's dive in.
Hey there, how's it going? This is Matthew Favreau. I am the digital marketing manager at Savant Marketing. I am in charge of running all of our clients' Facebook ads campaigns, and today I'm going to be discussing lookalike audiences and custom audiences, how to create them, and what they do for your campaigns. Now, first, if you're on your Facebook ads dashboard here, if you click on this left-hand menu, you can see audiences. So you click that, and you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. If you already have some audiences like we do, or it might be blank. It may also ask you a question about like creating audiences. You could just hit accept or whatever if it's there. But you should be on a page like this that has the option to create an audience. And then we start with a custom audience before we look into lookalike audiences. So for custom audiences, what you're essentially doing is you're feeding Facebook information on a select group of people, and you're able to instruct Facebook to target more people like that. You can use a variety of sources. One of the ones that we find most effective is a customer list, because obviously if you've had people purchase from you in the past and have used your services, it makes sense that you'd want to target more of those people. Those would be like obviously the best kinds of people to target. And then some of these more broad ones would be like if people interacted on your website, or you can do meta sources. So if people interact with your Facebook page, or if you've posted videos and people have liked and commented on the videos, all kinds of stuff. But for today's video, we're going to be discussing the customer list. Now, for your customer list, you want to have a list of at least 100 people ideally. And the bare minimum of information we hope you have would be their name, their email, and their phone number. That should be enough to get you started. And for today's example, I have this little list here in Google Sheets called Test Customer List. For the time being, I only have 3 names, 3 emails, 3 phone numbers, fake data. Like I said, ideally you have 100 people at least. And I would recommend using all the people that have ever interacted with your business and shown some interest in working with you. You don't have to use people that have necessarily purchased your service, even people that have reached out for quotes in the past, or if you had contests at like a home show that people entered their emails. I would still use that data just because those people, while they may not be 100% buyers like some of your, like a small portion of your customer list would be, they do still have some interest in your service, and you want to find more people like that in your service area. So once we do customer list, we select that there and we go next. It's going to give you some information on how to prepare the list. You could download a file template, but for the time being, I'll just have you skip this, but feel free to read it over and kind of get the information that you need and how it kind of works essentially. But for now, we'll just hit next. On this page where you're actually uploading the list, you can click here to go to format guidelines, which would open this page for you. And the formatting guidelines essentially tells you how you have to structure your data to feed it into Facebook for it to make sense and be able to identify, the names as the names and match the information that you give it with profiles on Facebook so that Facebook could find more people like that. So the more information you feed it, the better. Like I said, this is the bare minimum information we're looking for ideally is name, email, and phone number. I would also recommend including city, state, and country, just because when we do a lookalike audience, you have to select the country that the data originates from. So if you specify that, hey, all of my customers are in the United States, moreover, obviously probably a specific city or at least county or province or, depends where you are, Canada or US, but you get the idea. So like I said, we're going to include also the city, the province or state, and the country. We're based in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, so I'm using that for an example. Ideally, your customer list is centered around one service area, and you can kind of just assume that this is the case, even if the odd lead might be slightly out of the area. And if you service a whole county and not all the leads are from the same city, you can not include city and just do state and country, and it will still be just as effective. You can see looking at your sheet here, this is the case in a lot of the data sets that I see. You might have the first name and last name clumped together into one column, but no worries. If that's the case, you just go to the column beside it. You right click, insert one column to the left to create this blank space. Then you go highlight this column, go to data, and split text to columns to split the first name and last name into their own columns. And then we just continue on formatting the data as per the instructions on the formatting guidelines page. So we need to create headers for each row, or each column rather. So I insert one row above, and then I just put the column titles as instructed on that page. So for first name, it's FN. For last name, it's LN. You can see that here. And then email is email, phone number is phone. So email, phone, and then city, state, country is CTST. Country, CTST. Country. And like I said, the more data, the merrier. So if you do have, clients' zip codes, you can feel free to upload that, zip codes, as much information as you can. Like I said, just to give Facebook as much information to work with. For example, if your service skews to rather young people, for whatever reason, it might be good to include the age of the clients if you know that. One other thing too that I don't have here, I don't believe, is value. So if you have customer value, you can create a column called value and associate specific values with that lead. So if you have dollars sold, for example, you can associate dollars sold with each lead. Or if you have a list full of buyers, quotes, or some lower quality lead quote requests, or some lower quality leads like home show giveaway submissions, you can value people that have purchased at a 1 because they're the most valuable, and then people that have requested a quote in the past at like a 0.5 or a 0.3, and then people that have reached out via other means that are less likely to actually be serious about using your service. You could rate them at like a 0.1 or something if you want to tier your list that way. Again, just to be more specific and say like, hey, these are the ones that are actually most valuable, aka the people that purchased. But again, for simplicity's sake, this is what we're going to go with. And then once you have all the data organized with their respective column headers, you can go ahead and download your data, whether it be off Google Sheets or Excel, as a CSV file. So for Google Sheets, you go File, Download as a CSV file. The CSV file format is the format that is required to upload the list to Facebook. Once you have the data saved, you go back to the audience creation area, upload a file. Bear with me, upload a file. Test customer sheet. Once it's selected, does your file include a column for customer value? So if you attributed dollars sold to certain customers, or if you did the rating system of like a 1.0 for purchasers, 0.5 for serious quote requests, and so on, you can hit yes. Ours says no. You can name the audience whatever you want it to be. So you can say list of purchasers if you have a list of 100 people or more that have purchased your services in the past, or you can say combined list, whatever you want to name it, and description as well if you want. I'll just skip it for now in default. Here it's going to show you the columns, and mine are all successfully mapped because I followed the naming conventions for the column header that is based on the sheet that we opened up, the formatting guidelines. If you follow this formatting guidelines page and you label the columns as they should be, all of these should automatically map. And if it doesn't, you could try mapping them yourself with action needed. I would rather just go back and save it as it should be so there's no confusion on Facebook's end. And then you import and create. And you wait for it to populate. Now my population stage will likely fail just because the data isn't real. But essentially what happens now is once you upload a customer list, you can go ahead and directly target those customers again if it's above 100, and you could say like, hey, buy my services again or something. But what's really powerful is lookalike audiences. And that's where we're going to tell Facebook, hey, we have this list of people that I've interacted with in business that I would like to show our ads to similar people of this nature. And you can go to create audience, lookalike audience. And what you do is up here, you can go to other sources, and you're going to see that once it's populated, you can search for test customer list. You select that list, or that sheet rather. And then, like I said, you want to choose the region that the leads originate from. So for us, it was Canada, sorry. But again, for you, it's going to be either Canada or the US. And then what you're going to do here is you can create multiple lookalike audiences if you want. I would just start with one. And this sliding scale here is how similar do you want the people that are seeing your ads to be to the list that you supplied Facebook. So the lower the number, the more similar the people that will see the ads will be to the lead list that you uploaded. Depending on where you service, if you go super specific, Facebook might not be able to find enough people to show your ads to. So if you're in a major city or whatever, I typically start anywhere between like the 5 and 10% range and see how it goes. And then I adjust from there as needed. Typically, we want to see at least, ideally, 250,000 people being targeted with our ads on Facebook platform. Now, unless you're operating at a major city, as soon as you start introducing lookalike audiences and more strict targeting, you're definitely going to drop below the 250,000. You can see in this case, with the audience that we selected, we're projecting to show our ads to 326,000 people across all of Canada. And Canada is around like 40 million people, so it makes sense that 1% of Canadians approximately would be relevant to see our ads. But once you go into the actual ad set level and you start creating the ads, when you select your city or county or whatever, this number is going to be cut in half by the relative size of your city or county or service area, respective to the size of the country that you inputted here. So like I said, if you put a 1% lookalike audience threshold and you target a city that only has a population of like 100,000 to begin with, you might end up with too small of an audience to effectively target. So like you might end up with an audience of like 1,000 or 2,000 people out of the 100,000 people that Facebook thinks are good candidates to see your ads based on the audience list that you uploaded, the customer list. And that's just probably too small to be effective. If that was the case, I would start going again to like the 5 to 10% range, like I mentioned earlier. That's kind of where I start. That still gives you audience sizes to see the ads of, sometimes 20 to 100,000 in some cases. So it's a much healthier audience size. While it probably sounds good that you want to show your ads to people absolutely the most similar to your past customers, in reality, even cutting it down to the 10% most people that are like your audience is better than showing it to the 100% and wasting 90% on people that are completely different than your customers and never would buy your services in the first place. Just to show you the last thing there. So at this point, so you select the number, 5%, 10%, whatever it may be. Like I said, for the final time, I recommend 5 to 10%. You go ahead and create the audience and it'll populate. It'll take like sometimes a few hours depending on the size of the list. Once it populates here, it'll say ready. You can see my previous customer list is still populating there. Like I said, that's going to most likely turn into nothing. So I'll just delete that. Once it's done, it'll say ready to use for ads. And then you can go to the ads manager. Last thing I'll show you here, you go to your ads account, and in the ad set level, that's where you select the audiences that you're targeting. And you click use saved audience, and then you just search for the name of the audience. So you can see, well, you can't see, but if you look on the other page, you'd see that we had a lookalike audience, US 1% of a painter list that we had that we're targeting currently. You'd have something similar, lookalike US 5%, and then it would say the name of the list that you use to generate the lookalike audience. And then you go ahead and you do your other location targeting as you would. So like I said, you select your city, the age range you prefer, the gender if there is one, If you don't do that, if you just upload the list and you leave this as like United States or Canada, it's going to target the entirety of the United States or Canada, and that's no good for local service delivery. Here you can see we're targeting the U.S. because we're trying to generate painting clients all across the U.S. to deliver our services to. But for you, it's going to be more of a localized location, and you want to do that even though you have the custom audience built. You still want to tell Facebook, hey, this is the location, just so there's no room for ambiguity. But yeah, like I said, that is lookalike audiences and custom audiences and essentially their utility. It's basically just creating a guideline for Facebook on who to show the ads to so you can ideally generate more profitable ads. Something for you to test. It works well. Sometimes it doesn't work so well. That's the beauty of ads. There's no rhyme or reason to some things. It's just testing and seeing what works. And this is often a great test for people to do if they have extensive customer lists. And yeah, we recommend you try it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.